order. First order of business is to stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We are meeting quite a bit later, actually, than normal, because we had a Public Works meeting before. And I asked that we talk about the Chapter 90 funding issue, but I think it's pretty well set at this point.
Unless you
bring
want
it
to
up.
just put it out there for anyone viewing our meeting, give them a quick recap.
Okay,
what
we do have a
discussed.
problem with our Chapter 90 funding, which is our highway funding. Mass Highway has told us that the funding is being held up at this point in time because they want the bridge over Canesto Brook, which is out on Hubbardston Road. And if you're heading, just to give everyone a reference point, if you're heading towards Hubbardston on Hubbardston Road or Route 62, it is the last bridge before the town line with Hubbardston. And they want the bridge repaired to somewhat their specifications, so they are holding us up on that Chapter 90 at this juncture in time. And we're trying to come up with a solution. I think we're very close to having one, but and it's a little ironic in that we can use Chapter 90 funding to repair the bridge, so which is kind of ironic in a strange sort of way, right?
It is, holding up the funds we need to fix it.
It doesn't, yeah, so we had pretty lengthy discussion on this issue at the Department of Public Works meeting, but that is what, we may be putting a light up there for temporarily until it gets repaired. We're not exactly sure yet.
When did they want that repaired? Just recently?
Excuse me?
When did they want that bridge repaired? Just recently?
Yes, yes, and it was inspected last year, and it was in pretty much the same condition. And it was re-inspected, and this has cropped up probably since the end of July, maybe. I couldn't tell you the exact date, but it's a very recent development, and basically there's a couple of I-beams, one pulled away. It really needs to be reattached to the bridge, and there's a little bit of common sense here, I guess, that would say that you could just weld it back in with a plate connecting to the others, and it would be fine. And that's probably what something similar is gonna happen. So it is very new, and I guess they've decided that they're concerned that they keep coming up with these reports and they're not doing it, but they had the same report last year, which is interesting. So I guess we're not the only town that's going through this. It's kind of a strange situation. So, do you have anything you want?
I say we're working as diligently as we can between our office and the DPW to make sure it gets done. We get our Chapter 90 money released and safe bridge.
Yeah, we do not want to have the bridge closed, obviously, because it's not really a good detour around it. It doesn't run into miles, so. Okay.
But also, at this point, the Chapter 90 money won't be released in a timely enough manner to work on the roads this fall. They'll have to be next spring. So
First
some
in
people
the
had asked
spring.
about culvert repairs and drainage repairs up on Williamsville Road. It's gonna have to wait till the spring. at
Right,
this
the
point.
resurfacing probably will have to be the first out in the spring when the plant opens.
Would realistically, hopefully a month and a half till the repair's going, and
Yep.
funds probably a month after that will put us too late to do the work. That sums it up.
Yep. Okay. Guess now we have a discussion on the Halloween events and the road closures. Gentlemen, if you'd like to.
Thank you for taking the time to stop in this evening.
You're welcome. So tonight, I believe we're looking for the approval of the board for the use of all of the property and the closure of the road. So the deputy chief is getting the road closure. Basically what we're doing is we're closing off the inner part of the commons. So any road that's internal to the commons and Common Street, Concert Way, all of that up to the library, trying to keep that closed because we're going to have a lot of kids walking back and forth, and the traffic pattern is merely going to go around the commons. So that'll be okay. It's really not a huge imposition because the only thing that we would worry about is a tractor trailer truck coming through town, and I really don't think at night
They
we're
do.
really going to face that. If we have to deal with it, we'll walk it through.
They come through at some strange hours sometimes, I think, depending what they're hauling, they come through it.
So
I hear them at midnight all the time.
we'll take it, if that's the case.
But that's midnight.
Yeah. So that's basically what we're doing is we're posting 3 police traffic posts. We've asked the Lions Club where we put the barricades, which won't be intersections, they'll be side roads, and anything that's a side road that we're putting a barricade on that doesn't have an officer, we're asking for volunteers with traffic vests to stand there, and all they're really doing is making sure the barricade doesn't get moved, and we'll give them a portable radio so they can tell us if there's an issue. And that's really just 3 or 4 more posts, just some of the side stuff. So, and that'll contain all of the traffic. It's really not, there's really not a whole lot to it, it's very simple, it's just a very simple redirect. We'll have officers around the common as well. I just found out that we were approved for the MEMA trailer, so we're gonna get that, and we wanna put that in the parking area, basically in front of Becky's, but all the way in front, not up against her building, but the portion that's closer to the common, actually touches the common, and it's just a regular trailer. So that's gonna give us a camera, for constantly recording up on a pole, and it's gonna give us radio capabilities and dispatch capabilities, so if there's an issue,
For the event, you mean?
For the event.
Oh, okay.
So they'll bring it in, they'll bring in somebody to be responsible for all the electronics on it, so we don't have to even worry about signing radios in and out, they'll do that. Rutland's gonna provide a dispatcher for us for it, and
Right.
we'll use that for coordination. And so as I said, basically everything's gonna reroute from Park and around, so, I'm sorry, we're talking here. Common Street, police officer, Concert Way. Concert Mall right here for a police officer, and then up by the library for police officer and everything else. Where you see a hard barricade, we're gonna ask a volunteer to stand on, simply because we're not really expecting any kind of traffic issues there. And then here's where we want the command post.
The only question I have, just to better understand, are we suggesting for this period of time, as we come down West Street onto Pleasant and then to Park, would they have to are we gonna have them take a right on Broad and then go down School Street to come back up if they wanted to head down South Street?
Well, either way, they're gonna have to go against the one-way down the bottom, because the only way out of the one-ways is through the closed barrier, so I assume you're gonna direct them through the one-ways.
So, yeah, everything's gonna funnel this way and that way.
So I just mean someone coming from
someone's
the
coming, yeah.
northwest that wants to go southwest.
To go out that way.
Right, so.
So they're gonna have to go down to like Valley Road
Down
and come
across
back
Valley.
up or something.
Right.
Which is fine, I was just thinking
We
it out,
may need
maybe we need to put
detours.
some,
We're gonna ask DPW to see what
Okay.
they've got for us for detour signs, put all that stuff out.
Because the people are cutting through, they might not realize that
Right.
we all know what cuts across, but.
but that'll probably answer the tractor trailer. It's longer, but the
They usually come
turns they
up the
can
hill.
make
For
is
some
all I
reason, they
meant.
come up the hill late at night, so who knows what they're hauling, they're just trying to.
I live on Williamsville Road, you're
Yeah.
right, they come when they come.
They're either
and-
trying to avoid police and inspections that late hour, or they're just hauling material that they don't wanna be out in heavy traffic with.
So worst case scenario, we just walk them through it. And this is hard barricade to turn traffic, but we're using the library parking lot for some library, some of the kids that are going to the library, so we'll also be able to let cars just down to here to use the parking lot. And it'll be important to the library to be able to do that, so it'll be a very limited number of cars there. You've already discussed all of the things we have going on, so this just allows everybody to walk in without us having concerns for their safety.
Also, at least a Google map on Facebook page that shows all the detour routes around it, all the events, and all the public parking areas in the area, so people can go on there and kind of plan their route out before the event.
Is that, on the town Facebook page, or
The
the
town's-
town and the police, or?
We have a link to the town
Okay,
event.
all right,
Town
perfect.
event page,
It's Facebook, all through Facebook.
all through Facebook.
Now, what's the timing of these things specifically? I know trick or treat, is this during trick or treat, or this is a separate day from trick or
No,
treat?
this is during trick or treating, so we'll have our meeting at 1700, 5 o'clock, but we're not gonna kick off till 5:30. And we figure that it goes till 8, but we'll, if it dies out before 8, then we'll open up the roads, but at the latest, we're gonna go to 8.
Yeah.
We also
And-
have additional patrols in the south to cover like High Plains area and stuff for regular trick or treating.
Perfect.
For the trunk or treat event that we're planning on for down here, we have, let's see. Trying to make sure I'm looking at it the right way.
So this is Common Street here.
Okay, yep, so we're, the trunk or treat that's planned for this area, we are actually, having, pre-registration for, so that we try to get a good idea of how many cars to expect, so.
Okay. I've seen that floating around on the Facebook page.
And what is trunk or treat?
People can bring, if some of the people that are in the outlying areas that might not get a lot of trick-or-treaters can bring their cars down and line them up and kind of dress up the back of the car and hand out candy that way if they,
Oh,
if they'd
I
like to
gotcha.
participate.
Nice.
And we've arranged with the Harding Allen Estate is allowing public parking in their parking lot for the evening.
Oh,
okay.
Very nice.
Yeah, we can post those details as we start finalizing them. Or if you guys make a post, we can just share whatever you post for traffic and what have you.
Just a quick reminder, for those that want to donate candy, what areas can they donate to?
Well, I guess we've changed it.
Yeah, I guess, there is a group that's always spearheaded the candy collection. We were gonna have the police department be a drop-off, but the library is a drop-off, and there's somebody that, coordinates it,
Okay,
distributing it throughout the common after that.
so get it to the library and then they get it to everybody.
They basically asked that they be able to do that, for sure.
Okay.
Excellent.
No, I like the idea. I guess I would make a motion to approve the plan as presented.
Second the motion.
Okay, any further discussion?
No. If I just add a couple details, since we have the TV playing and some people may not see Facebook or what have you. With the pumpkin carved contest, to bring a carved pumpkin to the common at 5 o'clock, we'll begin that drop-off. And in lieu of like a registration, we're doing a non-perishable good, which will go to the food bank of Barry. And the pumpkins need to come with a candle that can last up to 2 to 3 hours, or a battery operated one. And in the event of inclement weather, we'll move our events into the town hall.
Okay,
So there'll be only battery operated permitted at that time.
gotcha.
And,
Okay.
what was the group for the trunk or treat, Barry?
The Barry business community is gonna be basically sponsoring the trunk or treat.
Yes,
Okay.
and that, they can be found on Facebook for the Google registration.
Perfect.
So trick or treating, go on as normal throughout the town, and anybody wants to stop down for this, is invited, and anybody that wants to have a bunch of kids come to their car, you don't normally see kids, well, that's what we're inviting them for, anybody.
We typically have several hundred come up through the common,
Yep.
so you're gonna have a busy time up there.
Right.
Busy time.
We're gonna have a good time.
I get 300 at my house, so I'm sure they probably have
Mhm.
double that uptown. Yeah,
Yep, we're excited.
that should be a fun time.
I know it's not commonly thought, but sometimes, and you may just need to look, you can actually use the senior center WRTA vehicle if you wanted to transport people from South Barry, Barry Plains up there. If the seniors aren't using it that time, you're allowed to start offering other groups to use. So I'm not saying you want to,
Mhm.
but even in the future, it might be something to look to speak to the director or whoever's in the, to see if it's something that works. Avoiding more vehicles by having them be able to park somewhere and bring them up. This is a future possibility.
Yeah. For future, if this goes well, and we could talk to Quabbin too, and maybe we could have their buses go from Quabbin itself.
Yeah, they've got a lot of parking, so
If we get that big, we're in trouble.
we're gonna grow. See, we're growing.
This
We're
will be an all-day
growing.
Yeah.
event, you know, that was my other
Yeah.
thought is, you know, if this works really well, maybe you do some of the common stuff on an off night as a separate event by itself, because this could get big.
Yeah, we've,
We'll see how it works.
our main parking area that we've identified is actually Ruggles Lane, so we're hoping that people kind of go over there and then work their way down, so.
Good idea, yeah.
Those homes get a lot of kids anyway,
They do.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
gonna be a busy night.
Yep.
so.
If the weather stays warm like this, even more so.
Yep. So I have a motion and a second, and any other call for a vote, those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
All right.
Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
thank you, guys, thank you for
Good
the-
job, too.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
thank you.
Looks good.
It'll be a nice little event for the town.
Hopefully the first of many. I really want to see more stuff in the common overall.
Okay.
Every part of the year.
So we need to sign the anticipation note for
Yep.
the common project. It's been,
Yep, and Ellen will be able to sign off on this tomorrow, I already spoke with her.
mhm.
So all the blue tabs on the left are where the selectmen have to sign.
Maybe Andrew, you could give us a little bit of background on what's involved with the anticipation.
Yeah, so basically, you know, this is kind of like the construction loan portion of the, of this loan.
Project.
Yeah, so we have up to 10 years that we can roll this, this note, and typically they have a much lower interest rate than what a typical long-term borrowing would be. And say this is right in line with that proposal that I put forward for the town meeting notice for the $82,000 to put a principal payment on this. Our hope is that we can pay it off before having to mature to long-term borrowing and basically avoid the high interest rate. We always change our strategy down the line too if it looks like, you know, bond anticipation note interest rates are going higher than long-term borrowing, but at least that's the way the market plays right now. So.
And this pretty well finishes everything off
Mhm.
at this point, so we have come
You also gotta do the,
Yeah.
the notice, so.
and this is just hers, so I'll just give that back to you. Or I'll accidentally sign it.
Okay, we need a motion on that as well,
I would think so.
okay.
I make a motion to approve and sign the ban for the Berry Common project.
Second the motion.
Discussion? Been a long time coming, hearing none discussion, I'll call for a vote, in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Three back.
What causes the delay of that?
Yeah.
Is it a delay just of acceptance? Is that what caused the delay of the ban, or was
This
it a?
isn't the first ban that we've done
No.
on
Yeah,
this.
this is,
No.
it's
Oh, I'm
almost like
sorry,
one a
this
year,
is-
right? Or
Yeah.
something to,
Yeah. I'm sorry, I have my ban screwed up. This is actually year 5 of this ban, 5 of 10. So this is still the construction loan phase, but
Okay.
it's still a lower interest rate than what a long-term borrowing
Right.
would be. So.
perfect.
And we actually still have some money on the table on that are for that construction loan, that I believe they're looking into a digital signboard for down there and rehabilitation of the bandstand.
Oh,
So-
okay.
So with the remaining funds that were approved under the ban.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a request to use town property.
Yeah, we received a request from the library to use North Common for their story walk on Halloween.
Is this traditionally done at the North Common?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's around.
I've just
the-
been told a lot of things
Yeah,
about,
they-
so
they
that's why I wanted to
utilize-
ask, are they
They
using North
utilize
Common
the
or
outside
yeah,
for
the
their
perimeter,
story walk.
really?
Yeah, this is in conjunction with everything that we're doing. We've
Correct.
coordinated all these efforts, so this is their formal.
They're not actually
Request.
using the common itself.
No, it's like a walk around the outside of the
Okay.
common, and
Using
there's
the perimeter
stops
sidewalks
with
around
books and one story with pages along the way.
Well, we, I'll have to clarify that, because in the summer, they did a similar one, and it was inside the common. It wasn't
Yeah.
outside, so.
Okay.
They've traditionally done the story walks on North Common,
Okay.
in and around, I should say,
Mhm.
North Common, but,
I only ask because I've had a lot of people say that that's a veterans-only memorial type. You don't do other activities in and on it.
Mhm.
And so I didn't want to jump the gun and say you could use it, knowing that some people have concerns. But if it seems like we traditionally do this, I'm not going to hold it up. I just would kind of count on, I guess, anybody else in here to know if this has ever been an issue or.
Yeah, I'd say this
Right.
was, I know we had as I said, a similar event in August, and
Mhm.
we didn't receive any comment from that, and I attended it, and it went out very well.
I'd be shocked if any veterans had any.
I wouldn't
any-
expect them
any
to,
bad
but
thoughts.
I'm also
There's
at a
still
point where I
children
don't
in
want to
their
think I
stories
know
that
what they.
they-
Yeah.
No.
It stays far outside of the monument areas, it's really right around
Okay.
the perimeter, so.
Okay,
I
I'm
make a
sure-
motion to approve the request for use of the common by the library.
Okay, do I have a second?
Yes, I second it.
And further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. In favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous. We have the resignation of Officer Adam Cooley.
yeah, our office received this resignation, the end of September, and I can read it, it's just a one sentence.
Okay, that'd be
It just
fine.
says, "Dear Chief Carbone, please accept this letter of resignation from the Barry Police Department. It has been an honor to serve this department." And that's from Adam Cooley. He, was a part-time patrolman.
I make a motion to accept the resignation of Adam Cooley.
Second.
Okay, discussion. Hearing none, I'll call for a vote.
Aye.
Aye, in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's unanimous. We have the termination forms. I don't think we need to act on those, do we? Does it matter?
Yeah, we don't really need to act on
Okay.
them. It's just, for Adam, Cooley and the 2 seasonal employees that we have, seasonal laborers. So,
Okay.
I might have added that, just not even,
Okay. Did the board have any questions on that?
We just sign those, we don't even have to?
you don't even sign them,
Okay.
Okay.
so.
Well,
Got a
thank you
little
for
behind
letting
us.
us know what happened.
Okay, thank you. And we have wage authorizations.
Yep, the first one is from Richard Johnson. He is a paramedic hired, with the town at a rate of $23.48, and he is per diem.
Okay, and we need a vote on this.
Correct.
I make a motion to accept the wage authorization and appointment of Richard Johnson as a per diem paramedic.
I'll second the motion.
Okay, discussion. Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. In favor?
Aye.
Okay.
The next one is for James DiVirgilio. He is being appointed as a firefighter FD2. I believe he is also being appointed as the fire inspector, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
At this time, he is?
At this
Yeah.
time, yep.
And the
He's-
rate is, sorry,
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
the rate is $15.66 an hour. I apologize, I'm reading this backward. He's a firefighter being appointed as the fire inspector with a rate of $22 an hour at 24 hours a week.
Make a motion to approve James DiVirgilio, wow, right?
DiVirgilio.
DiVirgilio, thank you, firefighter, and fire inspector.
Okay, do I have a second? I'll second.
I second the
Okay,
motion.
good. Any discussion? Hearing none?
Yes.
Yeah?
Can we get the final job description to
Yes.
us sooner
Yeah,
than later?
we have that one done, we just need to
Mhm.
present that, we were just hoping to do all of them at once, but I can present that one.
All right, I appreciate it. I have no further
Okay.
comments.
Okay, hearing no further discussion, I'll call for a vote. In favor?
Aye.
Okay.
The next one is for Dana Stoddard, who the wastewater commission decided to appoint as the assistant chief water operator. The water commission decided to appoint Dana Stoddard to the water department at a rate of $22.65.
I make a motion to accept Dana Stoddard's appointment to the assistant water operator.
Second?
Okay, discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I had Andrea in here, but I believe we already
Yeah, we did that one.
did that one, so we'll skip
Yeah.
over hers. Jeremy Gosilla, and he is being appointed as a firefighter for $15.66 an hour.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Make a motion to appoint Jeremy Gracilla as a firefighter EMT.
Second that?
Okay, discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. Favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we're done with it.
And I don't know if you guys want to just take action on George Highland as the assistant wastewater operator.
I was thinking,
Oh,
That's,
just,
that's the one we just did,
you
right?
just did it at the
Did
previous
that-
meeting.
did that,
We just appointed him at the.
no, I'm just trying to think. We can definitely make the motion on the appointment, but do we know the actual rate? Can we make a motion on the wage or just the appointment at this point?
You can just make a motion on the appointment, which would
Yeah, we
include
could do
the
the-
wage.
Yeah, I just,
Um,
I don't wanna hold up his
Yeah.
salary,
So
so
we
we had
could
an
say,
issue before on it, so.
Okay, what's his name exactly?
George Highland, assistant wastewater operator.
Make a motion, we appoint George Highland to the,
Yeah, I'm assuming it's gonna be the $22.65, same as Dana. That's a starting rate for both of those similar positions.
so I make a motion to appoint him, the assistant wastewater operator at the appropriate wage for the position.
Okay, do I have a second?
Yes.
Okay, discussion. Yeah, Kathy?
Just out of curiosity, Greg, you said a couple months ago that there was a firefighter who was gonna conduct this EMT class at Station 1. Was that held? And do we have, 4 new EMT firefighters in town?
No,
It wasn't held?
it was, but we had a meeting on that too, that was, upheld by the state, so. They were gonna continue, I think in Phillipston if they wanted to.
Okay,
So I don't know the status once it's left town.
okay.
Okay, we're back. Any further discussion on George? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. In favor?
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None? Okay, selectmen's reports. Anybody have anything they wish to add?
Just-
Do,
Just
well,
like, just like to kick around those, that solar issue we had with the article for the warrant a little bit. Get into those, if we can, a little bit to the two laws that seem to be semi-conflicting on this, which is chapter 48, section 5, and chapter 39, section 10. The way I read 39, section 10, it's pretty cut and dry that it says no citizen's petition will come onto the warrant without signatures, period.
Mhm.
In the
it's
chapter.
not forced to, right?
Right, no, it won't go on without signatures, period. It shall not appear without the proper signatures.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless we adopt it and say it's ours and put it on, that's different.
Well, that's what I meant. Okay.
But as far as chapter 40A, there's nothing in there that says that request that initiates the zoning review finalizes or terminates by it being placed on the warrant. In fact, it does say that the planning board has a right to make changes to it if they don't like it. So it really looks like the planning board has the opportunity to really shut that down if they don't like it. And
Mhm.
I think we need to try to find a way to clarify that for sure, because if it's not the case, we certainly don't want to do it. 10 signatures, they can put it on the town meeting. But once again, the zoning bylaw says very clearly, no bylaw can be changed for zoning unless it goes through this process first.
Right.
So that's the confusing part. It seems that you can place it on there with 10 signatures at the annual meeting, but it can't be on there unless it's been vetted through this process.
Can't be voted on until that
It's
process
gone
is
through the
occurred,
process.
right?
So if it goes through the process and the planning board, it looks to me like if they vote it down by a 2/3 vote, that the issue's dead for 2 years. That it won't make it to the, I don't think it's their approval, so that they, just to give a nod of yes, we agree, and no, we don't, and be like favorable, unfavorable, I think they can stop it at the planning board.
The way I read it is the planning board, once they go through their public hearing, then they have a timeline to provide a report to the Board of Selectmen,
Right.
which would then be forwarded to the town if it makes it to a warrant for the town to review, so that the Board of Selectmen does not have the ability to vote on it after we receive the report.
Correct. There's nothing there
But
that
without
allows-
the required signatures, we also are not required to act on it either until either the right signatures come in or we so choose to put it on a particular warrant, based on how I read it. Secondly, I don't believe the planning board can actually stop it. They just have to provide the report. And they can provide a complete recommendation saying, we don't like it at all, and write all the reasons why, but I don't think they can prevent it from getting to us and then to town meeting if it actually had the signatures to force a town meeting vote. So
I believe
the
they can
planning board
modify.
has a huge, like, advisory role in this, but I don't think they have the ability to squash it.
I have seen,
I believe they can
Planning board,
revise it.
yeah.
And it
I have
requires a
seen-
two-third vote of the town
Right.
at town meeting, not,
I have seen planning board decisions get overturned, or basically voted opposed.
right.
By the voting committee, so, or by the superseding committee.
So
say
they may say, don't do
they say,
this, and the town says, we're doing it anyway.
I know it's tough because I'm kind of fitting square peg in a round hole here, but going to the town council form, it goes to select board and then goes back to town council with a negative recommendation, but the town council, who serves as the town meeting, says, no, we're adopting it anyway.
Right.
So,
And that's why I think
But
they
I've
can
seen
only
that,
play
yeah.
the advisory role.
and primarily I've seen this mostly with zoning changes, or to specific parcels, but not to zoning laws, so I think it's, I gotta kind of figure out where that is,
Yeah.
you know, where the difference is in those two, because, you know, at least by saying that you have standing in it, it normally means I own that piece of property. But if I want to change my next door neighbor's property, so that way I'm not spot zoning, I still need the 10 signatures,
Right.
so,
Exactly.
yeah.
So, I agree generally, though, that I think we're taking the right steps and we're allowing the process to take its course. And then,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, I was just trying to find the section that I thought in here says that the planning board can modify the request if they don't see it's fit. Which, you know, seems to me that they have a great deal of power if they can modify someone's request and say it's not fit as it is. And I would assume in that case, our planning board would say, you know, no setbacks, no road frontage, no driveway are all, you know, unreasonable. And they may make some sweeping changes to it but that's what we need to find out. Is that in fact what they can do? Can they make changes and it still has to go forward? Or when I thought in here that it read that it wouldn't go forward, but, you know, if a 2/3 negative vote came, you know, from the board, that it would stop.
Okay.
What I've seen, well, I think that the way, at least I had interpreted it, is if the board gives a negative recommendation, and then it goes to town meeting, and it gets voted down, then it can't be voted on for 2 years. But if they if they do give a favorable recommendation, and it's still voted down, then it can be basically brought back up.
Oh,
Right,
so
so-
that's based on the board recommendation, not the actual town vote?
Right.
Okay. That brings a little bit of my memory of what I was reading. Okay.
Yeah, if you have a chance, at least the what I was reviewing was the state's periodical on the zoning act, and it basically annotates the sides of what each section of the law refers to, so.
And no proposed zoning ordinance, which is unfavorably acted upon by a town meeting shall be considered by the town, within 2 years after the date of unfavorable action.
So it sounds like it's actually the vote that makes
It
that
does say the vote that makes
based
it,
on
it's ours
what I'm
for 2
hearing. Okay.
years.
So in other words, it's even to their best interest to make sure they're in agreement with and try to get a
So, yeah.
Yeah,
If
like a
if-
negotiated
if they-
bylaw,
if-
not-
If,
Yes.
if the select board decided that, yep, we're gonna put it on, we're gonna base it completely on what the planning board's recommendation is, and they give the negative determination, they go, and everyone that's against it and has spoken out to the board that they don't want it on there shows up and it gets defeated, well, that can't be even taken up within the next 2 years. It's solid.
Okay. When we're done, I have something to throw out there. Are we all set, Greg? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. The last sentence, it says that no vote should be taken till the planning board files a report it says to the town meeting within 21 days, not to the Board of Selectmen.
Well, it doesn't get to town meeting, I guess, through our board in some respects, but maybe it's
Right.
more through your office technically in that manner.
Well, we still set the warrant, so we'd have to put it on the agenda for the warrant. But once again, this won't be right, which is why we didn't place it on the other day.
Right.
But it seems, that's what I wanna talk about out loud with everybody,
Yeah.
try to clarify. So it looks like the 21-day report isn't to us. We keep
to
looking
the
at,
town.
to the committee, it's to the town.
Right, and I,
So they need to make that report to the town
Right.
after 21 days' time to consider their position on it and why and their recommendations, and then the town could vote on it. So this can happen at the annual meeting, as long as they come back with, well, we've let it go through here, because he
They could,
didn't need to
submit,
sit.
they can submit that at any time. It doesn't need to be
Right.
during the open warrant period. They could come in, you know, in the middle of December and say, in anticipation of town meeting, I want this article on the warrant, and then it would go through the process.
Now we get back to the
There's
chapter
a-
3910.
Not
He was
quite
allowed-
any time though, because there's a timeline between the report from the public hearing. If
6
so
months.
much time expires, then
But it's
you
within.
can't put it before the town without another public hearing.
Within 6 months. So
So
that's,
you're right,
that's
that
what it is.
timeline is,
Yeah.
right.
So here's the next issue. If the planning board's supposed to make a report within 21 days to the town, is it just gonna do a public report, or how is that gonna?
It's, the report is basically the determination of how they.
Just has to be
view-
publicized, not
Yes.
actually at a meeting?
So when you say, you know, they read the ordinance out loud at the meeting, and they say, you say, planning board, what is your recommendation on this? And they say, we provide a negative recommendation on this for the following reasons. That's the.
Or the following changes?
Yeah.
The recommended. Yeah, so it
They
seems-
do, with or without a meeting though, they're required to provide the report within 21 days, or it's considered as they had no comment.
They're-
So they have to issue a
Yes.
report and publicize that it's available in some manner, so that town
And
can
then-
come get a copy if they want. Doesn't mean it has to be at the town meeting that they're
And
getting the copy.
here's what I'm
of it.
saying, the next phase of this, nothing here stipulates that it automatically goes to town meeting. When, as
I
far as
agree.
placing something on the warrant, which is what chapter 39 deals with, if they wish to have this placed in the warrant, now that they've initiated this process, as a single person was allowed to do. But to ensure it's placed in the warrant, I believe you need to come forward with 10 signatures, preferably more than 10, which we have
100
verified.
for special town meeting,
Well, he
10
won't make,
for an
they won't be
annual.
ready for this time, I'm saying, but to make it on the annual town meeting, I think they still have to come back with 10 signatures in a petition to have this board place it on the warrant, unless we choose to place it on the warrant. So what I'm trying to get at is, I don't believe we're obligated at this point to take any action to place this on any warrant until someone comes back after this process with 10 signatures. That's what I'm trying to clarify, is the process.
Mhm.
I agree with you, and I haven't seen anything in writing that says different.
Right.
So,
And just based off past practice, or at least that I've seen, is, you know, if it just impacts you, then you have more of the standing of going, you know, that single parcel zone change. Here you
Okay.
go, put it on the town warrant, I want it for my personal benefit. If it's impacting myself, my neighbor, everybody around there,
The entire town.
then you need the 10 signatures, or the 100 signatures for special, or 10 signatures for it.
okay.
Well, once again, to
That makes
place it
sense,
on
I
the
got you.
warrant, 39 says nothing about any exceptions for placing things on the warrant. That's why I'm saying they seem to be in conflict.
Okay.
One talks about starting the initiation of the zoning review, and talks about it being voted on, but it doesn't talk about how it's placed for the vote.
Correct.
And the section that deals with how it's placed for the vote still claims signatures regardless of the status of the individual. It sound like, making sure we all understand it.
Yep.
So
I'm pretty comfortable with that same position, and that I believe that we are taking the right action. I haven't had anything presented to show me different.
And I'm very convinced we took the right action to this point. I'm just trying to look forward to make sure that we
Right.
keep on course with what we're supposed to do with this. And I think by talking about it, we're getting a better understanding of how it proceeds from here. For example, just realizing that it doesn't have to report to us in 21 days. And as I thought earlier today, we had a chance to vote on it, which we don't, which.
I
Andy pointed out,
agreed,
there's
actually. I
nothing
thought
like
originally
this.
we were another step in the process.
And we are not.
but-
Right,
Mhm.
again, that was
We are
square
not
peg
part
round
of this.
hole trying to figure that one out.
And I
Our
understand
step
that.
is done. We received it and we forwarded it. That was our step.
Yep.
And that's our only, okay, that's the only thing I really wanted to go over for that. Thank you.
The only thing that I have to add is I was at the Municipal Selectmen's Association's event this Saturday, and one of the things I had, whatever they call it, those little side training things they do after the main event, was about information technology and more specifically social media. And one of the things that came up that I thought our town might benefit from was the idea that when you're a smaller town versus larger communities, it may be a benefit to not have a whole bunch of separate Facebook pages, because it spreads out the actual number of followers and the number of hits, so you don't end up in the news feed as often. So they suggested, like, the fire department, police department, and the town would normally have a page. But like the senior center would probably be better benefit to the town for the senior center to submit things to the town administrator's office, have it posted on Facebook for the senior center, as well as even some of our, like, Christmas and Berry Committee. I know they got their own Facebook page, but it may be a benefit to see if they're interested in submitting. Even if they keep their own page, if they still submit what they put on their page, so you can post it as if it's raw off of yours rather than a share. And maybe reaching out to the various committees like that if they're gonna post something on Facebook, or they want something posted on Facebook, even if it's, say, the planning board, and they would like to, hey, could you throw this public hearing announcement out on the town? And the reason I say that is, the other thing they brought up is, based on the Facebook algorithms that kind of say, show up on my news feed, they suggest that the Facebook page should be posting something a minimum of twice a day. They said you could do something as simple as just take a picture of town hall on a beautiful day and state how beautiful it is in Barry that day, if you have nothing more to post for specific information to the town other than here we are. And they also suggest it's best to either do it at lunch or in the evening, because the minute you post it and you do it in the evening, you get more people seeing and clicking on it. If you do it any other time, especially in the morning, people are not chasing Facebook in the morning hours. The other thing is, they said multiple platforms sometimes, whether you include a Twitter account, build one of those, or
We do.
Instagram, things like that. And they said that the benefit of Twitter versus Facebook is when you need to announce things last minute, because Twitter always shows chronologically. So if you need to know of an emergency event going on in town, a lot of people will actually see it quicker on Twitter than they would Facebook, because Facebook still gets stuck in the news feed unless they're going straight to the town page to read the page. So I'm just bringing up some things I had heard, and I think it might be a benefit for us to start to work towards a plan of, if somebody wants something posted, what do they have to include, so you're not chasing them with, that sounds great, but what about this, when is it, where is it at? So they just know, give me these 5 main criteria, and I can post anything, and then I'll just make sure there aren't any swear words in it.
I think,
But you know what I mean.
I think, and Andrew might agree, we already actually operate that way. Unfortunately, there are some owners of other town pages that may or may not be the actual departments, so to speak. The Barry Senior Center page is not run by the Senior Center Director. And I think.
I understand that
the
page is
prior-
technically being abandoned now.
Again, I don't know that I know the prior director was unsure of actually who was the owner of that page. There is also a Barry community, Barry community page, which,
Oh, that's an independent person, the Berry Community and Events
Yep.
page, yeah,
Yep.
that's,
But I think a lot of people believe that that is the Town of Barry page. That page owner does not share our posts, they actually copy and paste what we post. So it appears it's their post. There is a fire community page that operates not from the fire chief. There is a Town of Barry Fire Department page, but there's a second
Yeah.
page that's not operated by the fire chief. And
those we can't control at all, like that, the one that are owned by
Right. those-
individuals that are representing themselves as something that maybe they're not, or even
They're
if that
picking
is or
up-
isn't their intent, that's how it's being perceived.
So for our Facebook page, we are currently linked to Twitter, not Instagram because there's no link. Instagram would have to be its own separate, and we just,
Yeah.
there's only so much time in the day.
Oh, don't get me wrong, I'm not an Instagram
what
Can
we
we
person, I
do-
don't know about
Can
it.
we share links on our page to Berry Fire page, Police Department page, and Council on Aging's actual pages? You know
No.
what I mean?
Council on
Can-
Aging doesn't have a page. We're basically
Or the
doing
library,
is
if
taking-
anybody else has a page,
Mhm.
can we we can't share them or list them or somehow?
I guess
I
if-
mean, Andrew and I are the
Yeah.
posters on the Facebook for Town of Barry, and I try to share posts that maybe the fire department post or the police department. The police department likewise with us, fire department as well. Library, they have their own page, which Stephanie runs.
Yeah.
So I try to keep sharing the real town pages so that it's real information.
Well, can you follow them so they come up on our page? You know what I
No.
mean? You can't do that?
No, it's business pages or group pages operate a little bit differently than personal pages,
Yeah.
but,
So, a large part of what I was doing today was actually working on the back end of our new website. And right now it's in real beta mode because what they're doing is basically the design work and I'm working on the content
Yeah.
work. So right now this is kind of like even with the content, this is how it's going to show up as a mobile site. But one thing I was able to integrate, the town meeting calendar automatically populates from my town government. So we won't have to
So
constantly
you're able to
maintain two
integrate
se-
that.
It's integrated right in. But if you go down and you'll see it a little bit more on the full page, but we have our Facebook account right on the news feed continually populates on our town page. So that way, if
Okay.
you're going to
So
visit.
it's a
our-
live update on the website?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, and I believe, let's see this, but this is really beta, it's not the actual design, but this is kind of just a quick layout as I did it today, but you can see I just have it over here on the right side, where it has that, this is kind of like, if we were to launch today, that's what it would look like, but I know that's not what
It's
the
a good
final
draft.
product is gonna be.
Okay.
it looks good.
No, that'll be great. And the only reason I'm bringing these things up is, one, is I'm not 100% sure how much you guys have learned. I know you've really looked into it, so I didn't think you were uneducated about it. I
Right,
didn't mean to
and I
imply
can tell
that.
you personally, I started the original Facebook page a couple of years ago now. We started trying to push information out of that, and we physically, and Andrew can attest this, go to departments and say, for example, today, hey, the taxes are due. What's the details? I'm trying to find information that people may be looking for to put on there. Last week, there was a water main break. That, we had people calling us, cause it's after hours now at the DPW, saying, hey, I have no water. And, information
Yeah.
like that could be good way to push information, like you said, Andrew and I try to push, like, as much as we see, anybody that's on the Facebook is seeing what we're trying to push out there. A lot of it's informational at this time, but maybe we could look at, maybe at lunch,
Mhm.
posting
Yeah.
some of the pictures that we've been grabbing around town for the website,
Yeah.
maybe.
My thought, if you're gonna post something in a timely manner, why not do it's sunny today in Barry, picture the common, 42 degrees this morning.
Well-
And do it morning, noon, and night.
Mhm.
You're posting 3 times a day automatically, and just gives you the current conditions. and
Well, I
it's
know Andrew
simple.
with
Yeah.
working on the website, has been going around town and we kind of talked about different locations, like what is Barry? What picture resembles? And so we've talked about it, and him and I have both kind of, Andrew more than I, have taken pictures along our travels.
Okay.
To use towards our new website, but it may be beneficial just to kind of,
Yeah,
Let's
we're
just
hoping to
start-
kind of like keep those internal until the final launch.
till we roll
but,
them out,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So,
And,
Hope the cows
and
are
all
there
I'm
somewhere.
looking at is, well, what I'm trying to look at is trying to develop some type of policy that'll work with the various departments that actually answer directly to the town administrator and board of selectmen. And then for the other boards, see if we can just get an agreement on that, that we will funnel as much through the town Facebook page as possible to help it grow in its times it shows up.
Right.
And could they also possibly funnel them to the police and fire? If they wanna get more exposure, maybe they could repost some of those things as well.
Well, when we
for
have
the
stuff, I
events
do
and
ask the police chief or whoever, can you share our page? Like, we made a post about, whatever, like the event for Halloween, for example. So I said,
Right.
hey, can you guys just try to share that? Cause they have many, many more followers, than we do. So try to
Yeah.
get people to follow our page rather than this other page that exists.
Well, have you thought about reaching out to the community page or the Berry Fire, Friends of Berry Fire, whatever the other page is called?
I
And
have,
seeing if they would put some of these things out there, like the Halloween event, would be nice to have on there.
I mean, I've reached out to them to try to get them to just share our posts instead of stealing our information and posting it on their page as their own post to try to, and I've gotten no response. And Adam had tried to work on some things to try to get, get our page as the real page. It's fine having an event page because they do offer some good information. I follow the page, whether it be regional, more, outside of Barry, not just here, maybe
Yeah.
stuff you're looking for everywhere, not just here. And we're trying to focus on just here, what we have going on. But
But if we have the Halloween event and they pick it up, it helps advertise it as well, rather than fight with the pages about who's gonna have what content.
And you
They
may
get it out
also,
there, they get it out there, any advertising is good advertising.
we do have a social media policy, just so you know, and, a few years back, majority of the employees signed, acknowledged the new policy that was implemented, which, kinda covers a lot of things that you read in the news when people are posting on their personal page, possibly, confidential information that they obtain through their position in work, and also just being respectful of the town's business on their
Mhm.
own personal page. So we could definitely maybe update that to, technology changes
Yeah.
every year, so it could be missing gaps now that it's been so many
I
years.
think, the big thing is really just getting more content out there. I mean, that's it. Yeah, really.
Yeah. The one thing that might also help when it comes to the Berry Police Department is some of the things they post could just be posted on the town page rather than the Berry Police Department page. And what I mean by that is, and again, it comes back to a certain level of perception, because we don't always know everybody reading it and what they're seeing. But when a police department or a fire department does the initial post of, look at how good our guys are, and I'm being very generic here, because I'm not knocking it, because someone's gotta get it out. But it usually actually is received better if it's a third party saying, look at what these guys did. So if the town Facebook page says, here's a picture of the promotion ceremony, or here's what these guys did to help out someone in a time of crisis, sometimes it actually even comes off better when the town is posting it versus the police department page. And the police department can then just jump on and share it again. And so that's something where maybe working with the chief, you could find out if there is some content that would be worth
Yeah, I feel.
flipping where it's normally started, not necessarily that. So I'm just throwing it out there. Again, it just helps hit the hits on the town page versus a subsection of the town. But I'm just thinking it through. Fire department too. I'm not trying to isolate the police. I just mean sometimes it comes off that way in it's received differently.
Well, maybe at our next staff meeting, we can talk about that again.
Yeah, just talking
Yeah.
about our social media strategy and how we wanna go forward.
Yeah, so. Other than that, it was a very informative meeting. Lots of stuff. I got nothing more to tell you though, at the moment.
Okay. Anything else?
I just have to go back to the warrants. I was able to run upstairs and reprint those. So
Excuse me?
I reprinted the warrants.
Oh, okay,
So we can take action on them.
okay.
It's not on the agenda that we printed. It was added after this was printed, so. It's on the one online, but not the ones you
Okay.
guys have,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
So I guess, Andrew, you're on.
Alrighty, so, let's see, we already covered the Halloween events. So this last week, we signed a contract with Charter to put fiber into the library as well as the public safety complex. We're hoping that not only this will help them with some of their goals that they've had that have really been stalled on the installation of the fiber. I think they had like a few different programs that they weren't able to run until this was finalized. But they're also hoping that with the additional Wi-Fi or the high broadband Wi-Fi service, that they're going to be able to make all the commons area a free Wi-Fi zone. So hopefully that'll drive some more interest into people hanging out in the common during lunch breaks and so forth.
Close enough, maybe I can shut mine off.
There you go.
Come on, that was funny.
Yeah. So on the public safety building side, I reached out to Charter because they basically have been so accommodating with the library and telling me how great, how close they are to the service. I said, well, what about the public safety building? That's the one that I've been on top of you guys for months on. And they said, well, it's in front of the library. They said the library is about 2 to 3 weeks out, and that if this one's in front of the library in order, it should be about a week and a half to 2 weeks. So
Super.
Nice.
hopefully, that's not out of the words of the project manager, but that's out of the words of the guy that kind of oversees the sales end. So,
Okay.
the project manager was supposed to be back from vacation today, and I was supposed to get a report back, but did not. So hopefully, I'll hear something tomorrow. When I do, I'll forward that off to you guys.
Thank you.
So we did receive one internal candidate for the Council on Aging Director. I've forwarded that for the Council on Aging for consideration, to see if they would like to proceed with that candidate. But I've also posted the position externally, just to keep the process moving. I was going back to the notes, but I wasn't sure whether or not you guys would consider one internal candidate if it was internal, or if you want 3, or a minimum of 3 irregardless.
I think we said we consider one if they were, met the standards and really truly met the qualifications, and they approved them. So in other words, if they were happy with that candidate, I think we said we would, but otherwise, we'd want 3, I thought, but Matt, you look confused, like,
I just remember the final thing is we wanted 3 to 5 for
Right,
us to
and
review, so
that's-
I don't recall previously saying if we got one internal that we'd be okay if they end up with it, because I'm not always in favor of little to no competition with one internal raising up into a position. That's just, I like to know that there's a couple to actually bounce across before we just say, okay, you're the next in line, so you get it whether you're even good at it or not.
well,
And what I mean by that is even the Council on Aging would have a difficult time having anybody to compare to if all they received was one application. So they can't even say, is there somebody else out there better?
right, but if they have qualifications and somebody meets the qualifications, they're not just like, oh, they'll do, but if you set a bar of qualifications, typically when you set up I would think when we set out an advertisement, we don't necessarily expect that everyone will meet all of the ticks on the qualification. So if somebody's meeting most and they're qualified, you can accept them if you want, but unless they have met them all, it's certainly easy enough to pass them by or consider them with a larger group later. Like we discussed before, the bylaws don't say that we have to do it, but it has been the policy of the town to try to promote from within. And to that point, I feel strongly.
I still would want that person to hopefully make it through the process and get to us.
We could require that they do. If we
Yeah.
hold off for 3, we get that name as one of those.
See, it's a little.
I'd
I'm
feel
sorry.
better at that if we did that than not.
Sorry, Charlie. Okay.
Yep.
my bigger thing here is the difference between a rank and file versus a manager. This is a manager director versus rank and file, and because of that, it's harder for me to accept an individual internal candidate without any competition for the position. I don't think we're doing due justice to the town if we're willing to listen to just the one person in front of us and say, well, if the Council on Aging wants them,
No, I'm agreeing.
then we would really have to dig in to find a reason to kick them out after the Council of Aging moved it forward, and I wouldn't be comfortable feeling like I have to fight the Council on Aging because I only had one person put in front
I'm
of me.
agreeing with that. I'm just saying if we're gonna move forward for 3, I'd like to include the promote from within candidate as one of the finalists that we can, you know, sight unseen, we don't have to know who's who.
Yeah,
I'd
but
like
I don't wanna
the
have to
I'd
get into
like-
that without knowing the potential other people.
No, I mean, we should know,
'Cause-
we should know what we have. There should be multiples brought to us as we ask. I would just like the internal candidate to be one of the finalists. Since we didn't have 3 to choose from, I would still like them to be among our choice possibilities. I think that's a fair request. It's a compromise between saying we're promoting from within, stick with our policy, to say, well, promote from within, we're gonna give them a fair shot against the other candidates that are qualified. And then they will be compared and vetted against the others. And we did say 3 to 5, so they could, you know, if they had 3 others, they could give us 4, including the internal candidate. My thought. That doesn't give them any special treatment.
Okay, it seems reasonable. You all set?
Then I guess I would make a motion to request the town administrator to post it for public
Yes.
acceptance.
I think you
had
Oh,
already
did you?
done
I
that.
missed that.
So it's been posted public, and I've set a due date of
November 3rd?
November
12th?
3rd.
He wants to know if
Okay.
we're gonna
Yeah.
proceed
You had
without
already
waiting
done
for
that
the
in your
results.
motion at an earlier
Right.
meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, I couldn't
And I
remember the
basically just
details.
kinda
Then
wanna
if you
present
do-
it to you to say, you know, it's out there. If they go through and they decide that, you know, this is a good
Okay.
candidate, do you wanna include it with 2 other external candidates presented as one, or, you know,
Okay.
so.
Then
I
I'd-
thought the best way to proceed was to present it as 3 candidates with that individual included if they met, the qualifications.
You know, if they meet the qualifications, or at least, you know,
Right.
reasonably close.
Right, then I would make a motion to request the Council on Aging to include the internal candidate unless there is obviously 5 better candidates presented in the public. And I meant obvious, like you just.
Yes, I agree.
I
I
mean-
second that motion.
Okay.
Okay, any further discussion on it? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. In favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, opposed, none? That's unanimous.
All right. So I finally finished the MCPPO procurement training. I know I've passed. I know I've passed one of the tests. I'm just waiting on the results from the second one. So I've put together the application form for the associate MCPPO, and I'll have that designation by the end of this year. So
Good
Good news.
job. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
thank you. Viewpoint software and Faye
Let's
and
not talk about not hitting our deadline.
Well, Faye and Adria have been working really hard on it. They had some few things that kind of held it back that were unforeseen, but you guys are looking to launch this week.
It could be
So-
tomorrow.
Is-
We have a 10 o'clock
Yep.
conference call in the morning, so hopefully after that conference call, we can pull the switch.
Yeah.
So at this
Best
time,
laid
it would
plans.
be
Yep.
the boards commission on the 3rd floor, Andrea, and our office at this time.
Yeah.
Mhm.
There was a little bit of jostling around as far as who was ready when, and that's kind of what
A delay,
set
slight
the delay back. We were hoping to
Yeah.
get more people on the initial go-ahead, but unfortunately, it just didn't work out. So-
Mhm.
So we're gonna proceed with what we got.
Yep,
We could always add more later. So-
The
correct.
more sticks you juggling, the harder it gets to do, so.
Exactly.
Yeah, we were just hoping to be, have everybody fully on board so we could all go together live, but it just didn't work out, so it was fine. We talked about, because Andrew and I had dedicated so much time into hitting our deadline, if we could just proceed without the rest of the departments that weren't ready, which is fine, and they said that would not be a problem. We could
Okay.
hit their switch whenever they were ready.
Okay.
Mhm.
Good.
And then the town website, say I dedicated a lot of time to it today, doing the back end of it, but I did touch base with the designers last week, and they said that hopefully by the end of this week, they'd have a few proposed designs to us, and I hope to sit down with some of the department heads and just kind of say what they like, what they don't like, what we need to change, and then once we have what we all agree on, it'll go into full coding and then hopefully launch. And the way I'm going right now with the back end stuff, we might be able to launch a beta site which has more better content than what our current site has, even before our design's complete.
Do you wanna do that, or do you wanna wait?
I'd like to wait. It's kind of like a thorn in my side not having a website that.
But we would talk in December anyway, so.
Right.
I don't see any harm in waiting. I'd rather do that than put it out than changing it on everybody, because
Mhm.
some of us folks that are less tech savvy get a little frustrated when they get used to it and it
I
moves
think
again.
if you just put a note on there that it's under construction, people anticipate possible changes in how it looks.
Yeah, the good part is that there's much more content already built into this
Mhm.
new site, and
Yeah.
it's going to be a lot more user friendly, and we have it very well. So far, I've integrated it pretty well with My Town Government, so that when you go and click to see what a board's doing, you go right to their My Town Government page. It shows you when their next meetings are, what their charge is, all their minutes and stuff like.
Okay.
And there are some boards that I set them as a separate page so that way we could add in additional stuff, like the planning board. I put right in the chapter 40A zoning act right on there, right? And the zoning maps, stuff like that. Stuff other than just the board's minutes that would be of interest if you're going to visit that page. So
Good.
Yeah, it looks good.
it's gonna be a step up.
Let us know what you decide.
So.
We'll take a peek.
All right. And before we launch, I'll make sure I send out to you guys so that way you can kind of have the final say. So.
I'd appreciate at least getting a view before someone says, why did they do it? They
Yeah,
did
yeah.
what?
Why did they give that font? I can't even read it.
Well,
Could be as simple as that,
Well,
but
it happened to be in Palmer when I designed it. It was when I looked at the sign, you're like, wow, that looks really that font looks really attractive. And then once we launched and you saw how it kind of really played with other like other pages, you're like, that was a really bad choice.
I got you, yeah.
Cursive, real
Like
fancy
script?
cursive does not look great in every format. So.
Right, it's a nice title.
It's like, wait a second, what does that
It's
say?
like, here's the title, and
Yeah.
then block print.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's everything I got. Oh, and so the Department of Revenue certified our new growth effective today, and it came at 168,208. We had budgeted anticipating 80,000. So a little bit over, almost double what our anticipated new growth was.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
You got 2 letters. Of course.
Oh, I'm sorry, correspondence, yep, here. The one, probably should have brought this down to DPW, but we can send that over to them tomorrow. It's just relative to a tree concern. We have one for the lottery for Quabbin Plaza Liquors. They're looking to put in a Keno monitor, unless you guys have any objection. We have a deadline to respond to that notice.
They're looking to put lottery
No, just
in the liquor store?
They're
A
looking to put
Keno monitor.
A Keno monitor. So you can sit there and get tickets and watch the
and
numbers
they
come
let
out.
you play Keno there.
They do that out at,
They do it almost everywhere where there's lottery now.
oh gosh.
Yeah, I know they
I eat there
do,
on
I'm just
Fridays a lot.
confused why you
Throwing
want
a
someone
blank.
hanging out at the counter where there's not even beverages being served,
High
or
tides,
it's like,
that's it. High tides, that's the
Shopping.
entertainment, high tides in your way.
Yeah, and then we just
Oh,
have
High
like,
tides
does?
Yeah, they have the
Good night,
Keno,
Ellie.
they have the
Yeah.
Keno thing, so.
yeah,
And then
that's,
just a letter to
that's
the
your
board.
entertainment, is watching the Keno rotate.
Yep.
And the people, it's the people I'm
Yeah,
there
the
for,
people
but the Keno is its own little story.
But they say you can bring your own crackers in if you want. Talked
Well,
about that last time.
yeah, I guess I don't necessarily have anything against or to stop, I just don't understand it.
Was if there was any real objection to it,
I
we could
can
take it
go
up at
to
the next
that,
meeting.
Yeah.
If the board wishes, or gentlemen can come with us, with me, or
Who is that from?
I,
Yeah, who is it though?
The name was,
no, it doesn't really, the stewardship committee, I just called the number that was listed up in the corner, the church number,
Okay.
but I can go and I'll mention, if you can't make it,
When
I'll
is
mention.
it?
What, Sunday morning, 9:30, I think it is.
The next couple of weeks, I'll be sparse for weekends. My fiance
Okay.
deploys.
But I'll mention it, I'll mention it.
January, so she's got 2 weeks at home. I lose her for a month of training, and a couple of weeks, and she's gone for a year, so
Yeah. And
my attending of other events outside of family for the next couple of weeks will be nil.
I'll mention that you two gentlemen, if we speak, I don't know exactly know what they're doing, but.
Okay.
Okay, with that, I've
No,
come.
we
So
have the
that
special
way.
town meeting warrant, I'll take
And
it.
shall we pass that
Well,
letter about the tree limb back to DPW?
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll skip
Yeah.
it.
yeah.
That really doesn't need anything from us.
when did we receive that?
Should've brought
And
that
then-
Today.
And do we
Yeah.
need, do
I
we
had
need
it
to
in a
vote?
pile in case I attended and then I forgot.
I
forgot
should have
to
grabbed
send
it on my
to you.
way out the door.
And
to
should we
the
vote in the
DPW.
keynote, or do we need to vote on that?
No,
No.
only if you don't want to allow it, then you needed to take action, so.
I just wanted to follow up on the vacancies. I noticed that you mentioned that we're still looking for a finance committee member.
Yes.
Um, do we still only have one member on the energy advisory committee? Or whatever we call that committee? I think Arnie Spielberg was the last one we appointed, but,
Full disclosure, I would have probably put more, but I was writing this from home, so.
no, and I understand.
Well,
That's just something I think might also be good for the town. Facebook
The
page is
websites.
almost like once a
The
week.
vacancies.
Yeah.
We
the
got these
website.
vacancies,
We
we
do
really
have-
need help.
mhm.
Or maybe identify a particular committee
Yes.
in one post and say, and this is what they do,
Mhm.
or what we would use you for, because sometimes the energy advisory committee's not quite as detailed of, this is your job. I think they're almost a big support for the town administrator's office, depending on what you need them to do.
Oh, they typically do the annual report for the town, typically, but that hasn't been done by the committee because there's been no committee.
What type of annual report when you say that? Not the town report, right?
Energy.
No,
Oh,
it's an
okay.
Energy
town
use report.
energy.
Like the green community report?
Exactly.
Okay,
Mhm. Yep.
So-
And we're working on that currently.
because we do have a member of that board that does exist, that we probably should just say, hey, hi, are
Want to
you
join
still
on
interested in doing it, or have you faded your interest because we haven't called on you?
Okay.
So, I just wanna re-emphasize that once we get them on the board, we gotta start using them, or we'll lose them just as quickly.
Mhm.
So the only thing left was the special town meeting warrant.
All right. I'm gonna pass them through, and
Did you look at them all real quick? Just like, how far did you
we'll just take
review
3
them?
copies now, so everybody can take a quick look, and
Make a quick look and we can.
Okay.
Article 11, do we have an exact number?
Which one is on there?
The transfer of
Yeah, it'll be
balance
in
of
the-
funds for Fire Station 2?
It'll be in the motion, we do have it.
Okay.
Wasn't it like 18,
It was about
15,
Yeah.
18, somewhere in there.
It was
Just in the
18,000
future, I'd like to
and
throw it
change.
into the
Yeah.
actual article, so when people are reading it, they understand the actual value. We verified and coordinated with Sewer Commission about the whole change of that enterprise budget number.
So that was in,
I reached out to Jason and let him know what we had going on.
Did you reach out to John?
Nope, I reached out to Jason, John, Jason's the
Sewer
department head
Commission.
down there, I let him know that he needed to talk to them. I mean,
we're
I
still
can
waiting
reach
on-
out to
I think we
John,
were still
but-
waiting on some clarification
Yeah,
Well-
this
from the
Thursday
clerk, from the
night,
clerk.
we were still
Yeah.
trying to figure out what to do. With this Jim Baird was still reviewing this. And Ellen,
Yeah, that's kind of where we need to get our marching orders.
yeah.
We
I
know
mean, we
what
changed
we know
some
what
of
the
the
intent
wording.
was. but-
Yeah, we have to sign all the copies?
Some of the wording on that got changed to
Yeah.
amend instead of, like, change the number. Cause we're really just amending to correct the minutes at this point. Does that make sense? So let me explain to you. So at the town meeting,
So what you're saying is currently we do not have that number sitting in a
We
budget
do.
line item in our books?
we have $45,000 too much.
Yes.
Because, the motion on the floor was amended, was changed from what we prepared.
Yeah,
So it included an additional $45,000. And how, the motion was read was correct, but on the paper, when it was written, was incorrect. So how Ellen perceived the motion doing her minutes was based on the written, that's how she does the
She
minutes.
records the written, not the vote.
okay.
Correct, and so how it was written was, slightly confusing. The intent, so it was spoken correctly, we voted it correctly, but it was.
For example, we approved 100,000, and the way it seemed to be written was 145, so she wrote 145 in the minutes, which is incorrect from what the vote was.
Mhm.
I don't disagree,
So
but
they
right
wanna amend the
now,
minute.
we didn't read the motion or the amendment of the motion to the floor.
No.
So the reason I'm suggesting, have we closed the communication with the DPW superintendent and the sewer commission, is that number was based on their input and their expectation. And if we wait to the last second to do it, I don't think we're giving them fair chance to explain themselves if they disagree with you. Because it was from them, not from us. So I'm just suggesting,
I will
just get them to
talk-
say, you're right,
I
and
will
then you're
talk-
all
yeah,
set.
I will talk to him
Right.
tomorrow about it.
If
I
that's the
haven't had a
case, we
chance to
can
talk to
always
him since
table it
last
on the
week.
floor and
Okay, and
readdress
that's
it
fine,
in June
that's-
if we have to.
I just don't like
Um,
surprising people with
no,
stuff
we
that
gotta
makes
fix it
sense,
before the
but
tax
it shocks them when they first hear it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
all.
Yeah. So I spoke with
'Cause
Jason.
it does make sense.
I did speak with Jason about it, and I sent him the backup because he didn't, understand what I was trying to explain to him. So I sent him the actual motion from Ellen. I got a copy of that and forwarded it.
Mm-hmm.
And I might have actually included John DiPilato in that email and told Jason he needed to speak with the sewer commission, just explain why we needed this article here.
Okay. All right,
I'll follow up tomorrow to make sure.
thank you. And I got no other comments, but, thank you. I would
Make
make
a
a motion
motion.
to
Go ahead.
approve and sign the special town meeting warrant.
Mhm.
Second the motion.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Should we all
Now
start?
we got 7 of these to sign,
Gotta
so
sign
let's
them all,
have
right?
fun.
Have an order.
Well, you got one, I got one, he gets one.
Which way are we gonna
Well,
rotate
why
these?
don't you, hold on.
We'll slide them to the, you keep
Why
all
don't-
those, we got the 3, we'll get these done and give it to you.
Okay.
And then I'll
Stand on
maintain
that
the,
pile.
yes. Send that on over, Charlie.
Yep.
Okay, have a good night.
Now look for the
Have
appropriate
fun.
motion if we,
Well, let's
Make a
sign.
motion to adjourn.
After we sign these, did you? Okay,
You can-
motion seconded. Motion second to adjourn.
okay, in favor?
All right,
Okay.